Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So when people talk about false flags, they talk about false flags. It's often hard for people to kind of get their head around, my government wouldn't do that, would they? My government wouldn't stoop to that level, would they? The United States spent $500 million to create this kind of theatrical thing, paying a company to make it seem like the Iraq war was going swimmingly. Putting the flag across Saddam Hussein, that was staged. That was this iconic moment that was false. They wanted to put this idea in the American consciousness, and they did, because that's one of the remaining things in your head when you think of the Iraq war. There are a few failures that you think of, but that particular one was supposed to be this idea of success, that they were greeting us as liberators and everything else. It was stagecraft. It was forged. It was fake. Yes, governments do these things. Governments figure out what they want to do, and they find ways to do those things, sometimes requiring a certain pretext to get those things done, because if they tried to do it, the public itself would balk. The public would balk. If you said, I would like to change the government in Syria. I don't want Bashar al-Assad. He's a bad guy. I don't like him. I don't like him. He's not on our side. He's with Russian interests. I don't like him. We need to get rid of him. The public would balk. They would say, sad day for you. You can go kick rocks. Go fuck off. We're not going and killing a lot of people just because you want to change Bashar al-Assad. What you would say is, oh my God, dead babies. Dead babies. You would say dead babies. Now, let's bring it back from Bashar al-Assad for a moment. Turkey. This is what took place. And this is, him flipping out is probably more hilarious than anything else. Turkey calls Syria security leak villainous and blocks YouTube. Reuters, this is the wrong article. I mean, this is the wrong title for this. Yes, he called it villainous, but why did he call it villainous? It's more than a leak. It was a leak about what? Like, this is what I mean. Now, they do get into it, but most people don't read into the article, so most people wouldn't necessarily see all the details. They would just get that first thing of, oh, he's mad about a leak. The leak was about a goddamn false flag. That's a big fucking deal. That country is literally saying, we're going to do something in Syria. We're going to create a reason for it. The reason doesn't exist, per se. It exists for them. But what they're trying to convince the public of is something different. The pretext that they're using is not true. It's a false pretext. It's a false flag. Reuters should call it that. Not, calls it villainous. Yes, him calling it villainous is one thing, but why is he calling it villainous? Why is he shutting down YouTube? There's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. Let's keep going. Don't mean to bash Reuters. Turkish Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan on Thursday denounced as villainous the leaking of top security officials discussing possible military actions in Syria to the video sharing site YouTube. That is the most polite way to say a false flag as I've ever heard. Let's hear him flip out, because human beings don't flip out for no reason. At least I don't think they do.
Outrage in Turkey as Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan decries an anonymous YouTube posting purportedly of the country's intelligence chief discussing possible military operations in Syria.
Today they posted a video on YouTube. There was a meeting at the Turkish Foreign Ministry on Syria, on the tomb of Süleyman Shah, and they even leaked this on YouTube. This is villainous. This is dishonesty.
That is Orwellian. That is Orwellian. This is villainous. This is dishonesty. No, sir. What you're doing is dishonest. It's very likely that you're working with the terrorists in Syria, shipping them, let's just say, based on Seymour Hersh's reporting, the goods in order to make those chemical weapons. That's the first part. The second part to this is, you're literally, what you're calling villainous and what you're calling dishonest is your government being dishonest to create some kind of false premise to go into Syria. That's what you're doing. And the very act of you saying something dishonest, you're being dishonest. That is a level of Orwellian. That's amazing. That's mind-blowing. Let's let him finish. There's a little bit more to this. Hear him out.
Turkey is now blocking YouTube as a precaution. The posting follows similar releases on...
As a precaution? As a precaution? Tell me something. Why didn't Obama want people to read the Trans-Pacific Partnership? Explain that to me. The logic of it. Do you believe that Obama didn't want people to read it because it has rainbows and roses on document line by line by line? Each person is going to get a pony. Each person is going to get a rainbow. There's going to be magic. We're going to be dancing in the sun, breast out in the moonlight. No. He didn't want you to read the document because he understood that people would say, oh my God, the president of the United States is giving over sovereignty of the United States. We need to not let people see that until after it's passed. There's no reason to shut down YouTube other than we need to make sure people don't see what we were planning to do. Let's take a look at what they were planning to do. I'm amazed that Reuters is carrying the story in the way they get to it at the bottom. I mean, I'm amazed by this. An operation against ISIL has international legitimacy. We would define it as Al-Qaeda. There are no issues on the Al-Qaeda framework. When it comes to Suleiman Shah's tomb, it's about protection of national soil. Voice presented as a Foreign Ministry Undersecretary, I can't not pronounce that name, Ferdinand Sinnerlegally. Oh God, I'm sorry. When the discussion turns to the need to justify such an operation, the voice purportedly of Ferdinand said, now look, my commander, if there is to be justification, the justification is I send 4 men to the other side. I get them to fire 8 missiles into empty land. That's not a problem. Justification can be created. That's a false flag. That's literally a false flag. By definition, that's a false flag. As a flat fact, that is a false flag. Now, I understand people say, oh my God, I don't know if the government would do it. What do you think this is? Why do you think he's shutting down YouTube? Do you think he's shutting down YouTube for shits and giggles? Or you think he's shutting down YouTube because they just caught him with his pants down? That's a false flag. We can create a pretext. We can create a reason to do this particular action. Reuters dances around this like nobody's business. But they're literally talking about sending people into another country, firing off missiles into an empty field to say, hey, we need to do something now. We need to do something. The foreign ministry said it was natural for the state officials to discuss defending Turkish territory. My issue is not you discussing defending Turkish territory. My issue here is you're creating a military pretext for military action. You're lying in one sense, saying we're going to frame this as Al-Qaeda. As long as we frame this as Al-Qaeda, we can pretty much do whatever we want. The international community would leave aside devices. The world is good as long as we frame it in this way. Is that the way it is? Doesn't matter. We're going to frame it this way. And then it's, how do we justify this? We justify this by sending a bunch of guys over the other line, firing a bunch of missiles. Problem solved. We just lie and make shit up. I'll leave the article here. I found this in right here, just so you can see the top part. Give it a little bit more context. Turkey threatened 2 weeks ago to retaliate for any attack on the tomb following clashes between militants of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, or ISIL, an Al-Qaeda breakaway group, a rival rebel group in the area east of Aleppo near the Turkish border. In Syria. You're talking about them in Syria. Even Turkey is in Syria. Even Turkey is in Syria. Not going to keep this long. I'll end it here. When people tell you that false flags don't exist or false flags are conspiracy theory, send them this link. Send them this link. This is one of our allies playing a false flag in Syria. Just saying. Let's see if there's anybody here. I don't think there's anybody here this early. Justification can be created. Yes. But that's, you should not be shocked by that. Like that's, I know this is a red pill per se. You should not be shocked by that. Understand, why were people shocked when they found out that the priesthood, Vatican, where they were raping kids? Why were they shocked by that? Why were they blown away by that particular process? Certainly they know there's a percentage of the population that does that. Why were they like, ah, why is this taking place? They were shocked by that because these were supposed to be holy men and they were supposed to be above fucking kids. It was hidden and open. In the open. It was hidden in the open. Meaning the perspective that people had of the Vatican and the people of the priesthood and everything else allowed them to not necessarily look at them in that particular way. Meaning it was someone invisible to the person. The same way when we look at our country and we think about our country, we look at these guys wearing suits and everything else. We think a particular way about them. We don't necessarily think that they will be this conniving, this cynical, this horrible of people. But they are. If they're in power, they are. You have to take that into account. You have to take into account the incentives that are built into the system itself when you're looking at and scrutinizing those people involved. You have to look at your previous history about what your government has done, what other governments around the world has done when you're taking an analysis of what may be. False flags exist. It shouldn't shock you at all. It shouldn't shock you one iota. In fact, when he says justification can be created, that should be the most natural thing in the world if you're analyzing politics in this day and age anyway. So I'm just putting this here as a just saying. Just saying. People could that'd be a hard time about false flags. And it's like I was reading this thing in Politico and they were like, yeah, it's conspiracy theory that they had weapons of mass or sarin gas wasn't done by Assad. And it's like, no, the conspiracy theory is that it was done by Assad. You have nothing. You have nothing. A bunch of assertions. When they actually did the investigation, the UN person just said, this sounds more like Assad. I mean, this sounds more like the terrorists themselves. The rebels, the moderates. The moderates. I don't want this one to go long because when the videos go long, sometimes people don't watch them. They're imposing, I suppose. So I'm going to keep this short. I'm going to try to do a few short ones. Thank you all for tuning in. And I hope you, let me make sure that, yeah, here we go. No sleepy at the Jamal. Is it depressing guilt or the actions of the government? That's funny. Yeah, I haven't been to bed yet. Clearly I haven't been to bed. I was up at like 4 a.m. doing videos. So yeah, I didn't like the videos that I put up earlier. So I want to do more. I like to make sure that my videos have a certain quality for the audience, especially for the people who are giving through Patreon and everything else. I am bad at staying on the standard and everything else with regards to Patreon. I try to make sure the t-shirt thing is intact, but if nothing else, I want to make sure that my videos have a certain quality to them. I want to be able to look at them and say, oh, I like that video. If it's, I don't like that video, then I'm probably going to need to do another video to make up for it. So I know it's not a one-to-one, meaning people give Patreon or people give Super Cash or something like that, and they expect gold every day per se. If this is something that I'm going to do, I want to do it well. And if it's 4 in the morning and the video doesn't necessarily look that great, I'll probably want to do another video. Not just for my subscribers, not just for the people who give through Patreon or PayPal or Super Cash or whatever else, but also for me. Like, this is a catalog. Like, I look back on my works and I say, these are the things that I was talking about. These are the things I was doing for the year. I just like them to be a certain quality. So, yes, the insomniacs. the insomniacs of the bunch. But I have a few shows for today up until the point of speaking to Tim Canova. So, I will see you guys in a few. Thanks, guys.